Saturday of the 22nd week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Colossians. Brothers and sisters, you once were alienated and hostile in mind because of evil deeds. God has now reconciled you in the fleshly body of Christ through his death, to present you holy, without blemish, and irreproachable before him, provided that you persevere in the faith, firmly grounded, stable, and not shifting from the hope of the gospel that you heard, which has been preached to every creature under heaven, of which I, Paul, am a minister. The word of the Lord.
The response is, God himself is my help. O God, by your name save me, and by your might defend my cause. O God, hear my prayer. Hearken to the words of my mouth. God himself is my help. Behold, God is my helper. The Lord sustains my life. Freely will I offer you sacrifice. I will praise your name, O Lord, for its goodness. God himself is my help.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. While Jesus was going through a field of grain on a Sabbath, his disciples were picking the heads of grain, rubbing them in their hands, and eating them. Some Pharisees said, "Why are you doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath?" Jesus said to them in reply, "Have you not read what David did when he and those who were with him were hungry? How he went into the house of God, took the bread of offering which only the priests could lawfully eat, ate of it, and shared it with his companions. Then he said to them, 'The Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath.'" The Gospel of the Lord.
Saturday of the 22nd week in Ordinary Time. The first reading comes from Colossians 1:21-23. The author speaks about how the recipients of this letter were once foreigners and enemies. They were mostly Gentile Christians, and therefore they weren't the chosen people originally. The Jews were the chosen people. But God has reached out to them, and by Jesus' death, he has made them into his body. He's made them one with him. Therefore, they too are chosen. They are to be pure and blameless. Since they're part of Christ now, they have to live like Christ, and they have to be holy. And therefore, they can't participate in the ways that they did before. They have to make choices which show that they stand firm in their faith. The Gospel is from Luke 6:1-5. One Sabbath, Jesus' disciples are picking some grain as they walk through the fields, and they're eating it. Now, technically, that was allowed. In fact, the law says very clearly it is. But remember, the Pharisees tried to build a fence around the law. They tried to interpret the law to its strictest possible interpretation to make sure that they would never break a part of the law. So they're accusing the disciples of harvesting. Now again, very clearly in Jewish law, harvesting is taking more food than you can eat at that moment. So what the disciples are doing is not harvesting, but they're just trying to extend the law. What is Jesus' response? Don't you know that even David, when he was fleeing from Saul, broke the law? He ate the bread that had been offered to God, the showbread, in the sanctuary of Nob. If David could break the law, certainly we can. So he's relativizing the importance of the law, especially in terms of true service of God. And then he also says, the Son of Man is master of the Sabbath. He called himself the Son of Man, so he is telling them he makes the rules about what the Sabbath is. Not they. They believe that they were the interpreters of the law sent by God. He's saying, no, you aren't. I am. I am the one who not only interprets the law, but I even give the law. That's something that only God can do. Jesus is appropriating to himself the very authority of God. And may God bless us.